The war had raged for decades. Humanity, once a fledgling species confined to their pale blue dot, had risen to become a formidable force in the galaxy. They were not the strongest, nor the most advanced, but they were relentless. Their resilience was unmatched, their capacity for adaptation unparalleled. And yet, for all their tenacity, they were losing. The Xel'nari, a race of cold, calculating beings, had declared war on humanity. Their reasons were unclear, but their methods were brutal. They sought to eradicate humanity, not out of malice, but out of necessity. The Xel'nari believed in order, in balance, and humanity's chaotic, unpredictable nature threatened that balance. I was a Xel'nari operative, trained from birth to serve the collective. My mission was simple: infiltrate the human resistance, gather intelligence, and ensure their destruction. I was the perfect agent, emotionless, efficient, and utterly loyal. Or so I thought. It was on a desolate moon, far from the front lines, that I met him. His name was Captain Elias Voss, a human soldier tasked with leading a small squad of resistance fighters. He was nothing like the humans I had been taught to despise. He was kind, compassionate, and fiercely protective of his team. I had assumed the identity of a human refugee, a survivor of a Xel'nari attack. It was a convincing cover, and Elias took me in without question. He treated me as one of his own, despite the risks. I told myself it was part of the mission, that I was merely playing a role. But as the days turned into weeks, I began to feel something I had never felt before: doubt. Elias was different. He spoke of hope, of a future where humans and aliens could coexist. He believed in the inherent goodness of all beings, even the Xel'nari. His words were naive, foolish even, but they resonated with me in a way I couldn't explain. One night, as we sat around a campfire, Elias turned to me. "Do you ever wonder why we're fighting?" he asked, his voice soft. I hesitated. "The Xel'nari want to destroy us. What more reason do we need?" He shook his head. "I don't believe that. No species is born evil. There has to be a reason, something we're missing." His words struck a chord within me. For the first time, I questioned the collective's motives. Why were we so determined to eradicate humanity? What threat did they truly pose? As the weeks passed, I found myself growing closer to Elias and his team. They were flawed, yes, but they were also brave, selfless, and fiercely loyal to one another. They fought not for glory or conquest, but for survival, for the chance to build a better future. And then, the day came when I was forced to make a choice. The collective had issued new orders. I was to sabotage the Resistance's supply depot, leaving them vulnerable to an impending Xel'nari attack. It was a simple task, one I had carried out countless times before. But this time, I hesitated. I thought of Elias, of the way he had risked his life to save mine. I thought of his team, of the bonds they shared, the hope they carried. And I realized that I couldn't do it. I couldn't betray them. That night, I sought out Elias. He was alone, staring up at the stars. I approached him, my heart pounding in my chest. "Elias," I whispered, my voice trembling. "There's something I need to tell you." He turned to me, his eyes filled with concern. "What is it?" I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what was to come. "I'm not who you think I am. I'm a Xel'nari operative. I was sent here to spy on you, to destroy you from within." His expression didn't change. He simply nodded, as if he had known all along. "I figured as much," he said softly. I stared at him, stunned. "You knew?" "Not at first," he admitted. "But there were signs. The way you moved, the way you spoke. It was different. But it didn't matter. You're one of us now. Tears welled in my eyes. I don't understand. How can you forgive me? How can you trust me after what I've done? He reached out, placing a hand on my shoulder. Because I believe in redemption. I believe that everyone deserves a second chance, even you. His words broke me. For the first time in my life, I felt something other than duty, something other than loyalty to the collective. I felt human. The next day, the Xel'nari attacked. The battle was fierce, the air thick with the sounds of gunfire and explosions. Elias and his team fought valiantly, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. I fought alongside them, my loyalty now firmly with humanity. As the battle raged on, I found myself face to face with a Xel'nari commander, one of my former superiors. He sneered at me, his voice cold and filled with disdain. Traitor, he spat. You have betrayed the collective. You have betrayed your own kind. I met his gaze, my resolve unwavering. No, I replied. I have found my true kind. With a swift motion, I disarmed him, sending his weapon clattering to the ground. He lunged at me, but I was faster. I struck him down, my heart heavy but my mind clear. The battle ended with the resistance victorious, but the cost was high. Many had fallen, including members of Elias's team. As we stood amidst the wreckage, Elias turned to me, his eyes filled with sorrow. Thank you, he said quietly. You saved us. I shook my head. No, Elias. You saved me. In the days that followed, I struggled to come to terms with what I had done. I had betrayed my mission, my people, everything I had ever known. But I had also found something far more valuable, a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging. Elias and I grew closer, our bond forged in the fires of war. He taught me what it meant to be human, to love, to hope, to dream. And in turn, I shared with him the secrets of the Xel'nari, the knowledge that would help humanity turn the tide of the war. But the war was far from over. The Xel'nari would not rest until humanity was eradicated, and I knew that my betrayal would not go unpunished. One night, as we sat together beneath the stars, Elias turned to me. What will you do now? He asked. I looked at him, my heart heavy. I will fight, I said. For you, for humanity, for the future we believe in. He smiled, his eyes filled with hope. Then we'll fight together. And so, we did. Side by side, we faced the challenges ahead, our bond unbreakable. The road was long and fraught with danger, but we pressed on, driven by the belief that a better future was possible. In the end, it was not strength or technology that won the war, but something far more powerful, compassion, understanding, and the unyielding belief that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope. And as I stood beside Elias, watching the dawn of a new era, I knew that I had made the right choice. The reason I betrayed my mission was not out of fear or weakness, but out of love. For you, human. For you. The alien woman whispered, her voice shaking, as she took Elias's hand in hers, ready to face whatever the future held, together.